Yeah, absolutely. My name is Denis. I come from Belgium. I head the e-commerce department of Luxottica here in Southeast Asia. Luxottica being the world leader in eyewear manufacturing and distribution, with brands such as Ray-Ban, Oakley, but also Oliver Peoples, Persol. I would say there are various benefits for brands to embrace digital. Obviously, it can be about making your products more widely available. It can be about having a deeper conversations with your consumers, simply making more sales, gathering data. From what I've seen, the most important step is to define what the objectives for the brands are in a specific context. A lot of brands jump into digital just to drive sales without really having a broader objective. And I see two traps there. Either brands tend to struggle to drive return on investments in the short term and tend up to kind of deprioritize the digital transformation or not put enough resources. Or because they want to drive this short-term return on investments through sales, it can lead to non-sustainable behavior in terms of promotional pressure, etc. So I would say most important is to really sit together with the multifunctional team and define for our brands, given our context and our path to purchase, how can digital help at each step? Can be in the awareness phase, can be in the consideration phase, can be in the conversion phase. And I think that's a really critical aspect of digital transformation. There are a lot of fancy features to enhance the experience and connect offline to online. The virtual try-on is now a very classic one online. In-store, brands are looking into things that are even more technologically advanced, such as holograms instead of store staff. In my opinion, it's very important to start with the basics. And the basics for me is availability. And most companies still don't have a way to offer offline what they have offline to their online shoppers and vice versa. As a consumers, it can be very frustrating if you come offline and are not able to easily see what are the SKUs that are not in the store here, but I could easily get access to by jumping into a digital channel. And if I'm online and actually want to touch and try a product before putting it in my basket, in which store should I actually walk to in order to be able to try it on? So I would say that when it comes to seamless experience connecting online and offline, it comes down to availability first. And it's very difficult to integrate offline stock with online stock. It's really not something to be underestimated. But there are new technologies now that enable you to connect the two without actually having the integration of the stock itself. Offering consumers that are browsing on social media or on your website, easily telling them, if you want to try that item, here are the different stores where you can try it on. Or if you're offline, putting an iPad and showing them, okay, you want to see this one in gray or in green, we actually have it. You can purchase it. We'll ship it to your place. For me, that is where it starts when it comes to connecting the two channels. Data is a very important topic, and it's one of those that I feel we have very little control on at this stage on the brand side. And the reason is that the region we're here is a region that is very marketplaces driven. You could say in the West, brand.coms have already flourished. In China, on the opposite, it's been very much a Tmall and JD game. In Southeast Asia, we seem to be heading towards a China model, a China ecosystem, which is big marketplaces such as Lazada and Shopee taking the lead in educating consumers and driving consumers online. As a result, they're the one with the data. The most prominent consumer behavior today when it comes to digital would be their understanding of the big events of those marketplaces, the patterns, right? The 11/11, the 12/12. The marketplaces are very good at educating consumers that these are events not to miss. And I feel consumers are getting more and more savvy at making best use of those events. Adding to carts before the event, coming back on D-Day to get the best out of it. So I would not pretend that we are able to use the data properly today and understand the consumers ourselves on the brand side, because I believe it's not the case. And I think it is vital for brands to start building their own conversation with their consumers. I'm not saying we have to turn our back to marketplaces. Absolutely not. I think they're playing a key role in educating consumers and bringing them online. It's a great acquisition channel. But it's time also for brands to have another channel aside, even if it's not to generate sales, but to be able to start gathering data and having a conversation with consumers. I believe growth in this region, besides obviously GDP growth in the biggest markets such as Indonesia, will be very much driven by the fundamentals of e-commerce, which are payments and deliveries. Now, as brands, when it comes to embracing digital and playing a role in that transformation, conversational commerce and social commerce are for me some of the most important. In-store, consumers have gotten used to having help when they want to browse, when they want to try out. And you cannot imagine a luxury store or a luxury experience without the opportunity to ask a sales associate for help in your purchase experience. Now, online, it's something that is still very much underdeveloped. And very often you have to push a buy now button without having had the chance to talk to anyone. And that's a massive barrier. And that's why a lot of consumers, in the end, because they don't trust the website, because they're not sure that it's going to fit them, because they have a lot of questions that remain unanswered, they will go down to a store, or they will abandon the purchase, buy another brand, or not buy at all and move on. Conversational commerce, for that reason, is for me one of the most important ones for brands to embrace. Marketplaces have started embracing it recently, I believe 12 or 18 months ago. They started putting more and more emphasis on live chat and asking brands to step in. I think it is important that brands do that and that they find a way to accompany the shopping experience online. Is chatbot the solution to it? I have my doubts. I think consumers need a more customized and personalized conversation to overcome some of their purchase barriers. So I would encourage brands to pay attention to that. Yeah. I'd say there are really three areas of focus at the moment. One is the ability for consumers to try the product online. It's a very basic feature, but something that's extremely important for fashion, even more for eyewear, which is a piece of fashion which is right in the middle of your face. And typically you will want to have second opinions, be able to show someone how you look with a new pair of eyewear before purchasing it. People feel extremely weak or embarrassed when they have to buy a new pair of eyewear if they don't get the chance to actually show it to someone before buying. So that's a key area of focus. The second one would be extending availability. So typically offline, giving opportunities to consumers to see what's available online and vice versa. So that's another one. And the third one would be customization. So personalization is something that many brands have started doing. It's something that we do at Luxottica. So you can customize your own Ray-Ban, your own Oakley. You can have your own name, your own pattern inside the frames. And I think that is the way for brands. Brands that want to play across multiple channels, with online being one of them, need to define what's the role of these different channels. If it's to sell the same things online than offline, then there's limited benefits of it. Of course, there's the fact that you might not have access to it physically. There's the fact that there might be a little promotion, but probably not the most sustainable way of driving online sales. Having really a differentiated experience and differentiated proposition online is, in my eyes, the way to make the channel very sustainable. So at Luxottica, we do offer customization, and I think a lot of brands have started doing that. I think different people take out different things from those conferences. We spend a lot of time in the office, behind our computers, talking to our colleagues. This is dangerous because we don't know what we don't know. And that's why I believe it's important to get out of the office, talk to people. And I usually learn most during the year when I step into such conferences. I believe Italasia is one of the best. And having the chance to exchange ideas with peers of the industry is for me the most interesting. Some people will like more listening to specific speakers or to panel discussions. I like going around and talking to a lot of industry people.